could L solve the Kira case? L's no stranger to the entity known as Kira, putting his life on the line to defy the supposed god of the new world. A young Japanese man who was able to put up an unforgettable psychological duel with a detective so gifted that at just 8 years old was able to prevent World War III, making use of unconventional and supernatural tactics to remain anonymous and evade legal consequences. Sounds a lot like another guy I know. So today's video will put one of the greatest detectives in fiction against Yoshikage Kira, a superpowered, random, and ordinary killer guy who just wants a quiet life. If you want to know the conclusion to this case, stay until the end of this video, and I'd like to ask you, if you enjoy my content, consider hitting that like button, as well as subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. L is a world-renowned detective who is tasked with identifying and capturing Kira. L is known for his deductive skills and unconventional methods. He suspects that Kira is in Japan and engages in a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game with light. L uses a variety of tactics to narrow down Kira's location and identity, even going so far as to broadcast his challenges to Kira on television. Now, Kira longs for a peaceful and quiet life, safe from any worry, and does not wish for it to be interrupted. Whenever that life seems assured, Kira adopts a jolly and confident demeanor. Although he's highly intelligent, his yearning shows in his dislike of coming in first, and Jotaro theorizes from his many trophies that he even made it a point to never rank better than 3rd place in any competition so as not to stand out. Since his youth, Kira has been avoiding the spotlight, living a healthy life, and following a strict regimen. However, beneath this facade of a simple, humble salaryman, Kira is very abnormal. This results in murdering random women in order to acquire their severed hands as girlfriends, acting as if the severed hands were actually sentient and conversing with them, and when one girlfriend begins to decay, he disposes of it and goes off in search of a replacement. As L and Light square off, they engage in a battle of wits that forms the core of the series, leads him closer to Kira's true identity, while Light, using his intelligence and the Death Note, works to outmaneuver L's efforts to catch her. Their interactions are characterized by psychological games, strategic manipulation, and intense debates about justice, morality, and the nature of Kira's actions. Light, acting as a high school student and son of a police officer, sustains an illusion of innocence, while secretly working to eliminate anyone who threatens to topple him. But what if L was to face this Kira? Here are some rules to establish first. This investigation is complicated enough as it is, so we don't want to make it impossible by giving Kira bites to dust. Additionally, this is Yoshikage Kira we're talking about, not Kozaku Kawajiri. At the NCA in the UK, L is at the forefront of transnational crime investigation, combating a range of offenses from drug trafficking and human smuggling to cybercrime and terrorism. With a focus on collaboration, he works closely with law enforcement agencies worldwide, pooling resources and intelligence to dismantle criminal networks. To give a realistic approximation of L's intelligence, we will have to consider things beyond the enemy alone and look into the canonical novels, such as the LABB murder cases and the L Changed the World. When he was 8 years old, around the time when L entered the Wami's house, he proved to be a genius by exhibiting his analytical and intellectual skills by doing things ranging from completing puzzles to successfully investing in stocks. At an age of 8, he was smart enough to stop the outbreak of World War III at the time of the Winchester mad bombings by stopping them. By the time he was a young adult, when he was challenging B, Mello stated that his intellectual abilities were equivalent to 5 ordinary investigative bureaus and 7 intelligence agencies, and by the time he faced Kira, those numbers had leapt upwards several more notches. As a child, L's IQ was in the 250s to 300 range, and when he met Light, his IQ was astronomically higher. For those who are still debating who among Light and L is smarter, it's L any day. L was 95% sure that Light was Kira when he lied to him that his estimation for Light being Kira was just about 5%. Now let's imagine L is tasked with catching Yoshikage Kira, a serial killer with a stand named Killer Queen, who can turn anything it touches into a bomb. The first thing that would happen is the Japanese government would notice a pattern of women going missing within a time succession of less than 10 days, which is approximately how long it takes for a body to decompose. L would not be beat to it and would rush to Japan to start to move past the cul-de-sac stage of the inquiry the Japanese authorities would eventually reach. The case of the serial killings continues to baffle the detective. The pattern is consistent, yet the method is perplexing. He fails to unravel this mystery mystery, he must delve into the depths of the unknown, and the key lies in the scarce info he'd gather at that point. The victims all share common characteristics, seemingly unconnected yet tied by the same modus operandi. The bodies are never found. Knowing L, he would certainly look for external sources of knowledge on the case, and that's when the Morio warriors would come into play, or at least Jotaro, the big shot of this whole investigation. He's got this knack for analyzing stuff, and he's super picky about everything. Nothing rattles his cool exterior. It's all about precision in his fight, and he tackles problems with a level of careful consideration that's practically his signature move. Instead of rushing in, he's all about watching and waiting, showing his restraint and embracing that classic Sigma male vibe. In other words, the perfect ally for L. The detective would be able to make a connection between the Speedwagon Foundation in his home country, England, to members of the Joestar family through public records or confidential national security information about Joseph and the Nazi against the three Aztec gods at some point in World War II. The underlying criterion for selection extends beyond conventional investigative prowess. It hinges on individuals capable of comprehending matters that transcend the confines of the physical reality. Upon analysis of the cumulative knowledge amassed by this group at that juncture, the most coherent deduction appears to lean toward the involvement of an adversary wielding an enemy stand. And all of this leads to one man, Jotaro Kujo, who's also in Japan. And why would L even look into the Speedwagon Foundation? Because of its convenient technical support provided to certain individuals trying to find Kira. Upon getting in touch with Jotaro, the two stoic, cold, and calculated minds would clash, and eventually, through recognizing both intellectual capabilities as valuable assets to each other, now being aware of the existence of stands, L and Jotaro would come to the inevitable conclusion that the killer has a unique ability, one that allows him to manipulate matter at atomic level, and this would explain the absence of remains. It's about maintaining a complete and total clean slate, erasing any evidence that could lead back to him, and for that precise reason, the stand user they're looking for may not necessarily have a criminal record. This could be someone who has managed to keep their actions hidden, a seemingly ordinary person with an extraordinary power. There's a pattern here, a purpose behind each victim's selection. To identify the user, L must understand their motivations, desires, and the underlying philosophy driving these murders. One particular isolated scenario involves murders that can be misconstrued as cases of individuals going missing, an example pertinent to Yoshikage Kira, and the most abnormal characteristic of the murderer is his frequent impulses. He targets beautiful women, and based on the time schedule of the women's disappearances, L would concentrate his attention on men working 9-to-5 jobs, tightening vigilance and real-time surveillance on places like the Kamio Corporation, the workplace of Yoshikage Kira. And just like L realized how contradictory Light Yagam's behavior was on camera, like adopting an ordinary teenager act and still overachieving academically, Yoshikage Kira's obvious disinterest in his female co-workers is the one thing that would give him away immediately. Now, with his suspects list narrowed down to one guy, Kira needs extra caution to avoid being caught, and L's next step could be to have a group of skilled, attractive young female agents, each donning meticulously crafted identities that entwine seamlessly with the urban tapestry. These agents infiltrate Morio with finesse, their positions carefully chosen in a range of establishments, from quaint restaurants to bustling department stores. Under L's orchestration, strategically position them as public spectacles, readily visible to the local populace. They'd be constantly updating him as to their positions and interactions, which begs the question, would L be potentially willing to sacrifice innocent agents as opposed to death row convicts? I don't think so, but I'm sure he could work something out. As days turn into weeks, the agents inadvertently beckon the attention of the mysterious killer. Their presence, meticulously planned, becomes a tantalizing enigma that tests the killer's resolve. Amidst the backdrop of seemingly innocuous encounters, L's calculated gamble offers the perfect bait, a trail that the killer might not be able to resist. The problem is, would the world's authorities even believe that a serial killer who operates with his fighting spirit exists, considering the countless possibilities the internet offers to fabricate evidence? The only way to effectively incriminate Kira would be to find human hands in his possession. Kira is nowhere near as intelligent as L, but he's not stupid either. Although carrying around a decomposing hand in a sandwich bag is pretty neglectful I didn't mention one extremely simple measure L would take, which is to monitor Yoshikage Kira's routine at his house and obtain footage of Kira's sinister tendencies, as well as audio evidence of him openly saying he was indeed the one who killed those women. That way, Kira can be charged and convicted without the need for law enforcement institutions being constituted by stand users themselves. And now we can only hope Kira won't just explode every officer who tries to detain him. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. What do you think? Could L solve the Yoshikage Kira case? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it very much. With that being said, thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.